Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, A Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today, I've selected three verses from the book Thiruvalluvar, which was written by the great Tamil sage Thiruvalluvar. And the verses that I'm going to read out today are related to this quality of fortitude. And the title of the chapter that I'm going to read from is Fortitude in the Face of Adversity. Now, the book that I'm going to read out from is volume 2 of a set. So you have these two volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. I'm going to read from this volume 2. I'll make another video on a few verses that I'm going to select from this volume 1 later on. I'll upload that video in a few days, very soon. So let's read some of these verses on fortitude. Before I continue, before I proceed, let me just read out the definition of fortitude according to the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language. So it says, fortitude is the strength of mind that allows one to endure pain or adversity with courage. So we all are going to face adversity of some kind or the other in our lives, if we haven't faced any adversity yet. So no one is exempt from adversity or difficulty. That's a common property of everyone, or I should say, the common lot or destiny of everyone. Everyone is going to face trouble, pain, problems, difficulties, defeats. So in order to face them as we should face them, in a way that enhances the dignity of our life. That is, the basic thing is, when adversity strikes us, when we are surrounded with problems, we should respond to them the way human beings should respond to them. And one of the qualities that human beings possess is the quality of fortitude. That is, they have the strength of mind to face pain and courage. So we should not give up that quality that we have. And whenever trouble strikes us, we should display that quality and take advantage of one of the gifts that God has given us. So let me read out these three verses. I'm going to read out the translated part. This has been translated by Dr. S.M. Dias, who was an IPS officer. So regarding this set of books, Dr. S.M. Dias is the editor, and Dr. N. Mahalingam is the general editor. So I'm going to read from this chapter, number 3, which is called Fortitude in the Face of Adversity. So let me read out the first verse in this chapter. The ability to laugh at adversity, which is the best of all strategies ultimately to overcome it. Says Rajaji, he's referring to Rajaji, who was a great author. I think his books on the Mahabharata and the Ramayana are very popular. He also wrote a commentary on the Thirukural. I think all of these have been published by the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, if I'm not mistaken. That is the translated versions. I think he originally wrote these in Tamil. Later on, these were translated into English, and they are very popular. Says Rajaji, one's spirit should not be broken by misfortune, defeat, or adversity. He would advise one to laugh when he meets misfortune, because there is nothing like this to overcome it and pass on to victory in due course. Sages have said before that the man who has the courage to laugh at misfortune is as much a master of the world as the one who is ready to die facing adversity. That is probably what Carlyle had in mind when he said, "Wondrous is the spirit of cheerfulness and its power of endurance." Let me read the second verse. Even if misfortunes come in a deluge, a wise man may overcome it by the strength of right thinking. Adversity operates on the mind, and therefore a resolute mind may effectively stem a whole sea of troubles. The wise man's thought processes are potent enough to overcome even a host of adversities. It is the mental attitude that is really important. It was Shakespeare who spoke of taking up arms against a whole sea of troubles. The will to fight is what makes all the difference. Verse number 3. Those who are not worried in the least by trouble will be capable of harassing and overcoming it. As already mentioned, misfortune is primarily a thing of the mind. If therefore a person is capable of laughing at it right in the face, much of its sting will be removed, and he will be in a position in due course to register his victory over trouble too. So these are the 3 verses that I have selected for this video, and let me now discuss these briefly. So the first thing that Thiruvalluvar mentions in this first verse is that when adversity strikes, when troubles strike, and they assault us from every side, we should smile. We should laugh at them. That's the best way to handle adversity. Now, this may sound a bit difficult to practice. Not a bit, I think it's very difficult to practice, because it's one thing to know the theory of it. That is, we know that when troubles strike us, it's better to keep the right attitude towards it and keep our mental balance intact. But usually when the actual occasion arises, we forget these things. But with practice, we can do this. That is, when adversity strikes, we can laugh and smile. I have experimented with it a few times. So, for example, when I get a headache, that's a great adversity for me, because I do a lot of thinking and I do a lot of readings. But when I get a headache, I usually find it very difficult to focus on thoughts and words, because it's difficult to use my eyes, because when you read, your eyes do the work and your mind does the thinking. So it's difficult to do what I like the most. So I have tried, laughing when I get a headache. Sometimes I laugh loud, just like people do in a laughter club, right? I've seen them on the television. I haven't witnessed any real, members of the laughter club. That is when they're actually doing that. But I've seen them on television. So just like they do in the laughter club, I just smile and laugh loudly. So that does help me in kind of facing that pain of headache, right? I mean, headache is kind of a terrible thing. So I find that, it's easier to manage it. But anyhow, this was a trivial example. Let me give another example. There is a famous preacher, I think he's dead now. There was a famous preacher in the US. His name was John Edmund Haggai. And he had a lot of problems. I mean, he had a son who was physically challenged. I think he was paralyzed neck down. And he had several other problems in his congregation. Or I think he was a pastor of a church. So he had a lot of problems. People wanted him to leave their church. And he also had personal problems. Financial issues, I think, plus, as I said, a sick child at home. So he found that it was very difficult to face that situation, and he did not know how to face it. So he came up with this idea, exactly what Thiruvalluvar says in this verse. So what he did is he drove to a kind of vacant, abandoned place. I think it was a solitary place. I think it was close to nature as well. So it was a very green place with a lot of natural beauty, and he just stopped his car somewhere, where some place which was abandoned, and there was no other human being there. And he came out of his car and laughed loudly, without any inhibition, without thinking whether someone is going to think him mad or not. So he just laughed for a while, maybe for a few minutes, and that relieved him of his trouble, and he got back his right, proper mental attitude. So this is something you can try. That is, when you're faced with a lot of troubles, and that's when you should actually laugh and smile, laugh loudly. So what you can do is you can close yourself, in your room. That is, so that you don't feel ashamed. So that you can do it in your room, and shut the door, and then do it, so that you'll not feel this inhibition or hesitation. So you can laugh loudly and see its effect. It does have some relieving effect on our mind. The other thing that he mentions is that a wise man overcomes troubles by the strength of right thinking. So, as Norman Vincent Peale says in his magnum opus or classic, The Power of Positive Thinking, right thinking is positive thinking. Positive thinking is right because God expects us to think that way about troubles and problems. You take any example of a great person in history, and you'll see that the troubles that they faced, they handled them with right thinking, that is, with positive thinking. As I said, both are equivalent terms. Positive thinking is right thinking, and right thinking is positive thinking. So if you do that, you're going to overcome your misfortune. And the third thing that he mentions is that you will trouble if you're not troubled by trouble. Let me read what Mr. Dyers says. That is the way he's translated it. Let me read out that verse. Those who are not worried in the least by trouble will be capable of harassing and overcoming it. I think APJ Abdul Kalam considered this one of his favorite verses. So he used to say that anyone who defeats the defeatist tendencies is the one who is going to succeed, and he is going to give trouble to troubles. There is someone who gives troubles. Let me put it in another way so that it's clear. Someone who troubles the troubles that he's facing will make sure that that the trouble just disappears from his or her life. So that's what it means. I remember Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam mentions this in his autobiography, I think, and also in one of his lectures that he delivered at a school. I think it was a school maintained by the Shivanand Ashram. So Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was much influenced by this great sage Swami Shivanand. So when he was not selected for this position of the Air Force pilot, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was a bit dejected. So he just walked along the banks of the river Ganga, and the natural beauty of that place affected him much positively. So he was he just enjoyed the beauty of nature there, the pure water, the fresh air. And while he was walking along the banks of the river Ganga, he saw this ashram, the board, in front of the ashram, Shivanand Ashram. I think that was the board. And so he entered that ashram, and he found that Swami Shivanand was delivering a lecture on the Bhagavad Gita, and there were quite a few people, listening to him. So when the lecture ended, Swami Shivanand noticed Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and he called him. And Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam walked up to him, and Swami Shivanand asked him why he was troubled. I think because he was a sage and a wise man. That is, I'm talking about Shivanand. He was able to sense the grief on the face of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. That is, Swami Shivanand was able to understand that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was dejected. So Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam told him that he had not been selected for the position of the Air Force pilot, and so he was dejected, he was discouraged. Swami Shivanand selected a verse from the Bhagavad Gita and then told him this. I may paraphrase it, I don't remember the exact words, but this is what Swami Shivanand told Dr. Abdul Kalam, said to him. You defeat the defeatist tendencies, and that's how you are going to defeat your problems. So I think that's what this verse also implies, the third one. That is, when troubles strike us, we should aim at troubling those troubles. And when we give trouble to those troubles through right thinking, positive thinking, those troubles are going to leave us, or will just disappear from our lives. So I hope you like this video. So before I conclude this video, as I do in most of my videos, let me recapitulate. So when troubles strike, when problems surround us, when difficulties stare us in the face, the best way to handle them is through a right mindset, and through smile and laughter, and through giving them troubles. That is, you give trouble to troubles, and troubles will vanish or disappear from your life. Thanks for watching this video.